Okay. Hey, we are live. I am Shawn Askinosie of Askinosie Chocolate, and my daughter Lawren Askinosie is with me. And this is the first time we've ever done this with a split screen. And I asked my good friend Seth what software to use, and he said StreamYard. So here we are, the first time we've ever used it. Kaylin said she was going to text me, and she did. And she said it's working on Facebook and not sure on YouTube. But hey, thank you guys for being here. I am in my office at the chocolate factory, which is 2 doors down. Lawren, how about you?
I am in Austin. So many of you probably know that Austin's where I'm based. Moved here a few years ago for my husband's work. And we love it here, but that means that I frequently travel back and forth to the factory to meet with the team and spend time with everybody. So this is unprecedented. I have not been in Springfield, Missouri, where our factory is based, for months. And I'm missing everybody, and I'm missing you, Dad, because we haven't seen each other in months, and that's unprecedented too.
Yeah.
You know, we talk every day, and we FaceTime a lot. I FaceTimed you at 10 p.m. a couple nights ago.
We'll get to that.
But so we thought, well, we do this a lot where we catch up, especially right now. So why not kind of bring everyone else into it? We're gonna have some coffee and some donuts. Maybe we're going to dip them in chocolate.
Mm-hmm.
That's something that happens around here. Do you want to tell the story of?
Yeah. Yep. Well, we were inspired to do this to kind of resurrect a routine that Lawren and I had from the time she was probably 2 years old until she went to college, which was 16 years old, by the way. Anyway, we would go to the donut shop every single Saturday morning. So we're kind of pretending it's Saturday. So we have our coffee, and Lawren probably started drinking coffee a little early, but we would go to the Supreme Bakery here in Springfield every Saturday morning. And then when Krispy Kreme opened, and I went to the Krispy Kreme this morning, the one that we used to go to, and we would get donuts there. Just a great time of just being together, sharing, and I'm going to start crying.
Are you getting emotional about reminiscing on our That's sweet.
Well, it was a special time for us, and I encourage any other dad to think about, developing a special time, because it's something that, we'll never forget, ever, either of us.
Yeah, I mean, those are some of my favorite memories. And in fact, really my first chocolate memory is the chocolate donut from our donut Saturdays.
Well, maybe to get me out of my emotions a little bit, I did melt some chocolate. I melted some Tanzania 72, and I'm actually dipping a Krispy Kreme donut in this 72, and not to be gross and eat on screen, but I'm going to have a little bit and then some coffee. So
I probably am too. I have a sprinkle donut from our local bakery, and I melted some dark milk, and I actually have not had breakfast yet. So I will be eating this too. There's like a thing about acting and how grossed out people get watching people eat on screen. So we'll do our best to not gross you guys out.
And maybe I should also mention right now, just your mom said before I left this morning, she said, "You're going to wear a hat, right?" And I can't help it. I mean, everybody's in the same boat. I can't help it.
It's true. I have some seriously gray roots right now. At 30, it's a thing that I
wonder where you got that. But anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, that's kind of what's happening for everybody. Everybody's in the same boat. So anyway, one of the things we wanted to do is, I guess if you were joining us on Facebook Live the last time, it was a tour of the factory, and this was intended to just be an informal. It says chocolate and donuts up there. I forgot. um, and just kind of an informal get together for Lawren and I, so that we can just talk about what's going on in the factory, share some things with you guys, and hopefully at the end of this, you guys can ask questions, and we have your comments here that we can see them. So we'll take some questions here at the end. But what I wanted to do is just give you another update on what's happening at the factory, and Lawren will join in with me on this. But the last time we updated everyone, we were just like everybody else in the country going through this shelter in place. And right before we had the shelter in place here in Springfield, Missouri, we did have to furlough about half of our factory. You guys know we're a really small place. We're 20 people total, including Lawren and I. And but we had to furlough about half of the people. And then we were number 2 in line at State Bank of Southwest Missouri to get the SBA relief package. And we're grateful for that. And so as of Monday, we brought most of those people back on. And so we're really grateful for the opportunity. Now, I should say, and I mentioned this before when we were doing the tour, we're deemed exempt from the shelter in place or essential as a food business. And as I said last time, I guess chocolate is essential. I mean, I'm not going to argue with that, but it is truly, for some people, they want to be able to do shopping and things like that. And so we're doing it. But as I mentioned before, we're being really safe about this. And what that means is we have 4 or 5 people working Monday through Thursday, and then some people working Friday through Sunday, so that those 2 groups of people are not in contact with each other. We're making really sure that people are staying apart from each other. I'm the only one here in the office, and that's been that way for a long time. And everyone else is working from home. And Lawren, if you want to talk about that a little bit.
Sure. So luckily, I have a lot of experience in the work from home realm, because it's something I've done for the last 8 years. I lived in Columbia, Missouri, which is about 3 hours away from Springfield, while my husband was working on his PhD. So I would travel back and forth to the factory almost every other week. It's not far. And it was kind of a nice stair step to moving to Austin, which is a little further away. But, there's been a lot of practice with me and our team with work from home as it relates to me. But now that everyone's working from home, there were some adjustments that everyone is dealing with right now. We tried to move our phone systems over to people's houses. That's been working okay. We appreciate everyone's patience as we're trying to transfer calls. We have a small team. I have 2 amazing women that are on our sales staff, and an amazing marketing assistant. And they are all really killing it with trying to adapt to this new environment. We're doing what we can to help out our retailers who mean so much to us and have meant so much to us. We have a couple of promotions that we're running for our wholesale customers, for our bulk customers, and are just letting them know that we're here and we're here for them. But we are so deeply grateful to those that are still ordering. It's been truly emotional watching the orders come in on our website with the notes that you guys are including of encouragement. We share those in our staff huddles. We send them around in emails. We try to kind of do that throughout the day just to keep everybody's spirits up, and share them in our Zoom calls, because they really do remind us why we're doing what we're doing, and keep us going. We're just extremely grateful for this outpouring of support. And we're trying to do what we can to stay connected with our customers, with our farmer partners, and adapt.
Well, before we get too much further, I got emotional about the donuts, and I forgot that I wanted to share this picture. So let me know
There.
Oh yeah, can you see it? Can you describe that?
Yeah, so this is Donut Saturdays. I was probably 7 maybe in that picture, and you're not really gray yet.
Yeah, those were the days.
Yeah. And this is at Supreme Bakery in Springfield, Missouri, where we went, like he said, every Saturday morning. And
why am I wearing a tie on Saturday?
I'm sure you were headed into, I don't know, the office for something after we spent our Saturday donut time. Who knows? But this was a routine for us. Even when I was a teenager and I would have sleepovers on Friday nights, I would wake up on Saturday mornings and my dad would come pick me up from their house and we would go get donuts and usually go to the bookstore also.
Yeah.
I love to read, always have. And, it was a special memory.
Well, one thing you brought up, and I wanted to make sure I didn't, and as we're updating people, Chocolate University is its own foundation now. It's the executive director is Missy Gellner, and the really bummer for us is we had a whole group of students ready to go to Tanzania this summer. We had to cancel that trip. Super sad about that. These are juniors and seniors in high school from here in the Springfield, Missouri area. It would have been our 10th trip to Tanzania. But the work that we do with Chocolate University continues in Tanzania. Our Empowered Girls program and Enlightened Boys program outside the village at the village in Tanzania is currently suspended because of shelter-in-place orders actually in Tanzania, limiting groups of more than 10. And we built a preschool in Tanzania that we built in partnership with the farmers there that opened in January for 300 kids. That's temporarily closed. But our field representative, Serafina, who lives in the village, is still working with the kids in small groups, and we hope that school can get opened really quickly. Are you hearing a bad echo?
There was a little bit for a minute, but
okay. And then I also should mention that, as many of you know, we've had a school lunch program in the Philippines for 10 years, and we're on our 3rd elementary school right now, and schools closed there in Davao, but the teachers identified the 70 students who are what would be classified as severely malnourished. And so we're continuing to fund that program, as you guys know, from the sale of Tablia, which we don't have any in stock right now. But the teachers, what's that?
Thanks to you all for buying it. And
yes, exactly. And we'll have that again in stock, I hope. And anyway, but it's we're taking that money, and the teachers are bravely delivering food, milk, and rice and things like that to these students. And so I wanted to make sure that I updated everybody on that. And the work of our foundation continues, and we're just trying to do the best that we can with all of these things. I should also very quickly let you know, because people are asking about our farmer partners in Tanzania. They're doing great. Everybody is healthy right now. I am very worried about Tanzania because if the virus ends up there, there's very little access to medical care, and the infrastructure is not there to support what's happening in other places in the world, like in Europe and Asia and North America. And I fear for what might happen there. But for now, so far, so good. In the Philippines, in Davao in particular, our farmers are fine. I talk to our farmers or farmer reps every week, sometimes twice a week. And but anyway, in the Philippines, they're doing okay, but they're in shelter-in-place orders as well. We're expecting our container of cocoa beans from the Philippines next week. So that container left before coronavirus hit, and it's been on the ocean this whole time, and it'll be here next week. Now, Ecuador and the Amazon and the southern portion of Ecuador, that's not good right now, especially in the northern part near Guayaquil. The Guayas province is the epicenter of this virus for all of South America. And I might have even mentioned this the last time, but the government doesn't have the resources to even collect the dead bodies. There are dead bodies on the streets. in Waikeel. It's super sad. Our farmers are healthy, but it's something we're monitoring on a regular basis. And this might be a good time for me to say, okay, Lawren and I were here. We're comfortable. We're drinking coffee. We're laughing, and we're sharing and reminiscing. And I said this before on the other tour, but by no means is this any attempt to trivialize or minimize the pain and suffering that's happening all over the world. So Lawren and I are here this morning to maybe bring a smile and to just laugh and let you guys in on what we're talking about. And this might be a good segue, Lawren, to kind of the next topic we were going to talk about.
Yeah, you bet. So, we, my dad and I both consume a lot of media. We watch a lot of things, we read a lot of things, we're listening to a lot of things all the time.
I'm going to consume this.
And we eat a lot of things and talk about that. And we are often sending each other recommendations and, on the phone with each other, talking about, hey, what are you watching, reading, doing right now? And we thought we'd have a catch up and, talk about it with all of you. So I was kind of curious, what you were watching right now, Dad.
Well, it would be very, very difficult for me to talk about what I'm watching and not talk about Tiger King.
Yeah.
I mean,
the gift keeps on giving.
Yeah. Well, yes. And as a matter of fact, you called me 2 nights ago and wanted to FaceTime at 10 p.m. to let me know that there was an episode 8.
I did. Yeah.
Which I did not know about.
I had read about it, and then 9 p.m. we were thinking about turning in. We happened to, flick past it. I thought I was past the Tiger King thing. I mean, we've all seen it. And then I saw that and thought, okay, well, I need to check that out. Turns out it's better than the series, in my opinion, the catch up.
You think so? I saw it last night. Now we don't want to, for those of you who are concerned about a spoiler alert, this might be a time to turn down the volume of your Facebook Live. But what did you think was so compelling about the last episode?
I mean, I loved seeing where people were. I felt like they did a good job of, acknowledging some of the things that were misrepresented. And I mean, the characters are just, you couldn't write people like that, which is what's, great about reality TV, Yeah. But that Rick Kirkham is probably one of my favorite just people that I've seen on a show. And his catch-up interview, these are heavy times, and there's a lot of reading that I'm doing that isn't light, and watching and listening. And his interview was something that made me belly laugh in a way that I haven't done probably in weeks. And that's why I called you at, 10, you were in bed. But I had to FaceTime with you to share the joy that I got.
I have to admit, there was a tiny part of me that wanted to dust off my law degree.
Oh, yeah.
And go to work and try to make some sense of what was happening. I'll leave it at that so people are not. But it's mind-numbing TV. Most of the people in that docuseries were terrible people. And of course, what's happening with the animals, and the greater conversation about that. So what else are you watching or listening to?
My husband Scott and I started rewatching the Harry Potter series, which those are technically children's movies, but obviously an amazing story. We just wanted something that was comforting and that would suck you in, and it's been great. We're almost finished, which is sad. So we'll need to find a new series like that to start. But
I don't watch the news pretty much after like lunchtime or whatever. I really don't watch the news or read it after, midday. What about you?
I try to turn off around 6:37, kind of around the time that I try to shut down work, and switch over at that point to, family time, listening to music, trying to relax, watching a show like Tiger King. Maybe not the most highbrow, but it's important. I struggle with sleep, and my dad does as well. And I found if I lay in bed and I'm reading the New York Times, it's not exactly conducive to helping me fall asleep easily.
Well, what else are you watching?
Well, I also have been watching a lot of birth documentaries.
Well, whatever for. Why would you be doing that?
Because I am about 6 months pregnant.
Oh boy.
With my first baby, a little girl. So I've got a little itty bar bun, if you will. And while this is definitely not what I expected my pregnancy to be like, it's been a great opportunity to start really practicing adjusting your expectations and gratitude, as a practice. And, I'm healthy, the baby's healthy. I have a lot to be thankful for. But there's no doubt that this is a scary time. It can be an isolating time, I think, for a lot of pregnant women. And I have some other friends who are pregnant around the country. We've been trying to support each other a lot with, Zoom calls and FaceTime. If anyone else out there is pregnant right now and wants to connect, email me. I would love to talk, because I think connection and community is more important than ever for all of us right now. But especially new first-time parents. I'm in the thick of it and feeling that. But yeah, so we've got a lot of birth documentaries and breastfeeding documentaries, all of that stuff happening at our house.
Well, it's pretty exciting. And so I can get the crying over with. Why don't I share the video of you telling your mom and I, let me see if I can do this.
Sure.
Okay, so here we go. You can kind of narrate.
Sure. So we thought we would share this with you guys. It might bring a little bit of joy. We could all use some of that right now, but I waited to tell my parents until Christmas morning because I, wanted it to be special. So we wrapped up a gift for them to open to share the news. And this was maybe the last time I saw Mom. So
she thought it was a tea towel.
Yeah, we wrapped it up and tried to make it look.
Here we go. Yeah, boy. I couldn't talk.
Yeah, that kind of started imploding like a dying star. He sort of just.
I had no words. Yeah. I couldn't talk. I couldn't speak.
Yeah. So
I was so excited. I was so moved. I didn't know what to say.
Oh, yeah. So we bought a onesie. We folded it up to look like a dish towel, told them they might, need this for their house. And that was how we did it. So it's an exciting time, and doing my best to kind of keep my daily meditation and grounding practices going and keep up with all the, developments that are happening right now with labor and delivery. And I really appreciate everybody's congratulations. And, we're super excited, but it's been hard to not be able to see my parents and my family during this time. I mean, they really haven't seen me where I look like I'm pregnant. So we can't wait until we can, actually be with each other.
Yeah, I can't wait either. Well, what else? Let's talk about what other things you're listening to, like podcasts, music.
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
Well, so of course, more on the birth topic. That's why I wanted to talk about it, because that's my life right now. There's an amazing podcast called The Birth Hour, which interviews women and where they tell their birth stories. So, you know, it runs the gamut from home birth to hospital birth, C-section, you know, all of it. And it's educational, and it's, you know, sweet listening to those stories. So I'll turn that on while I'm, you know, doing laundry or dishes. But also I love music. Music is a big coping mechanism for me. And there's a new album out by an artist I love, Waxahachie. And I encourage everybody to give it a listen. She's an excellent singer-songwriter who I've seen live a couple of times, but her new album is great. It's uplifting. And then I've also been kind of going back to some like childhood favorites that are very comforting to me. So
Backstreet Boys, or
I mean, that is the perennial classic. No, Paul Simon's Graceland is, you know, an album I remember listening to with you when I was little, you know, 3, 4, and one that's just, you know, it stayed with me forever. So we've been playing a lot of Graceland, which is a comfort.
Does any of it, when you play that music, does any of it make you cry?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I found myself, you know, I've always been more of a crier whenever I'm moved emotionally, or when I'm upset, like angry. So, but it's especially now with my hormones, I've been a lot more emotional than I'm used to. And there's been some moments where I just kind of sit down and listen and kind of soak it all in. And we've been sharing music with the baby. So they say if you start playing a song now, that they'll recognize it and it can be soothing after they're born. So we'll see, but we're gonna go with Graceland and see how that works.
Well, you know, the reason I mentioned that about crying, obviously I did that at the beginning, but you know, the book that you read to me when you were 9 that started this whole thing, there probably wouldn't be a chocolate factory right now if you hadn't read this book to me, Tuesdays with Maury, out loud, literally 20 years ago. That started me on this path. But I was really struck by something that Maury said in the book, and it's reminded me something recently, and that is when Mitch Albom asks Maury about, you know, his sadness and grief, and Maury responds that he gives himself a little bit of time each morning to be sad. So he has a time in the morning where he laments the loss of his ability to maybe move his arms or his legs, and he lets himself release that grief and sadness, and then he puts it aside for the rest of the day. And I thought that was interesting, and I've thought about that lately, and I myself have done that. You know, just driving from my house to here, I can put on, you know, certain songs and just drive and cry. And my friend Dan Civils was talking about how he thinks that this is a really important time to release and express our sadness, to let it out, you know. But anyway, well, that's interesting about what you're listening to and about the music. I think for me, I'm really a podcast person. I love podcasts, and I've been listening a lot to Richard Rohr and Father Richard Rohr. And his work that he does, and it's really about contemplative prayer, contemplative practice, and spirituality. And as you know, I like being on podcasts, and that's really very cathartic for me too. And I noticed one of our viewers is Ksenia, who has Breakfast Criminals, and I've been on her podcast twice, and you know, she's friends with Dr. What's that?
It's a great podcast.
Yes, it is. It's super cool. And she teaches people about cacao ceremony, and she's friends with Dr. Andrew Weil. And anyway, so I've enjoyed being on her podcast. And so I like being on them just to talk about things. But for listening, it's probably Richard Rohr lately. And then I've actually started watching YouTube a lot. I didn't really, and this is actually live on my YouTube channel, but I love watching videos before I go to bed about sheep. And so I watch about sheep and dogs, and I watch about wooden spoon carving. I made my first wooden spoon not long ago. My first one, it's really terrible, but I bet I've watched 100 videos on wooden spoon carving, and it's very relaxing. And but
it's sort of an ASMR videos, really. I mean, some of those that you watch are
like the guy who lives in northern Canada in the wilderness and built his log cabin, with one finger or whatever. But but I called you not long ago, and I was like, I can't read my books anymore. They're too heavy, just way too heavy. I need something like Winnie the Pooh or something like that to read. And you gave me a suggestion.
Yeah, you did. Well, I mean, it's great to read spiritual books and self-help books. I do that too, but you asked me for a recommendation, and David Sedaris is one of my favorite authors. His short stories, I read them out loud actually a lot to Scott, my husband, for a laugh, and we've been doing that lately. But I wasn't sure what you would think. I mean, I knew you'd think he was funny, but
oh my gosh, I've read a lot of David Sedaris in the last few weeks, and I'm so grateful for that. And Kat Canterbury, our director of sales, loves him too, and we talked about him a lot. And so, but anyway, I mean, golly, I find myself just in bed reading David Sedaris on my Kindle and literally laughing out loud.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's so, oh my gosh, talk about crying in the morning and laughing at night, man. That's. So thank you for that recommendation. I've really enjoyed that. Okay, what about exercise and body movement? What kind of things are you doing for that?
Yeah, I mean, this one's been tough for me. So I'm a gym person or a yoga studio person, and I've tried to keep that up during my pregnancy. And so not being able to go do that's been difficult. Also because I live pretty near downtown Austin in a neighborhood that is busy. So getting out and walking can be difficult, trying to do that, but sometimes it's a little stressful, honestly, encountering somebody that's right next to you and crossing the street. And so Melissa Wood Health is a Pilates yoga instructor who's also a mom. I've been doing her videos, which have been great. And I'm lucky and grateful to have a little yard. So I've been working out there and trying to move my body in any way that I can, even if it's just, stretching, because it is important for me and my mental health to do that a little bit every day. But gosh, what a crazy time.
Well, your mom and I walk. I mean,
yeah, you guys walk a lot. You're not going to encounter any people.
No, not where
you are.
But we walk. And then recently, I would say about 3 weeks ago, I started, I'm not going to say running because that's not what it is, but I would say jogging, just a mile, just run a mile. And I've really enjoyed that. And then I started about a month ago doing in the mornings something called the 5 Tibetan Rites. We don't have time to go into what that is here, but essentially it's stretching and
you used to do those when I lived at home. I mean, I remember doing them with you and Mom.
Yeah. 5 Tibetan Rites, kind of yoga sort of and sort of stretching, but it's pretty cool. And I've really enjoyed doing that. And I keep up my prayer and meditation routine. So I haven't changed that. I mean, I've done that for, over 10 years. And so I will say, I do that 5 mornings a week. I'll say this, there have been times, in the last few weeks where I've really been tempted to not do it because I don't feel like doing it. And I sometimes say to myself, this isn't helping, in quotes, that I still feel terrible, and I feel sad, I feel sorrowful, and I feel afraid. And I ask myself, why am I spending this time in the mornings doing this? But I still do it. Mm-hmm. I would encourage others to not give up, because this is not a time to make a judgment about whether or not your practice is, quote, working. Because I'd like to meet somebody and have them look me in the eye and tell me, oh yeah, it's all, I mean, maybe Michael Singer or Tara Brach or somebody like that, but there's two, but you know, it's a very tough time. And so I'm trying not to judge myself about the effectiveness of that prayer and meditation time.
Yeah, I'm with you there. It's when it's most difficult to meditate and have whatever your, centering practice is when it's most important. And there have been days that I have just struggled through it every step of the way. And I've been having a very informal meditation practice for a few years now, and it is helpful, but the desire to want to skip it is very strong. Mm-hmm. But I feel like, especially for me right now, it's more important than ever to stay centered and keep my cortisol down and, try to be calm for the baby. And so it's something I've been trying to do, but it's not easy. I've been rereading, probably for the third or fourth time, Pema Chodron's When Things Fall Apart.
Oh, yeah.
Which is, it feels apt.
Yes.
For right now. And
tattoo that look on my body and just read it all the time.
And I mean, it's like, it's so dog-eared and underlined. It's the whole book is just, anyone who hasn't had a chance to pick that up yet, I would really suggest that you.
I would put Michael Singer's Untethered Soul in that same category.
Yeah, and I haven't read that one. Yeah, but heard great things.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a source of comfort and encouraging, because I've also been trying, like we said, not to just limit what I'm watching, but what I'm reading, and limit at this point what I'm reading about COVID. And, I keep up with that during the day and when I'm working, and health-wise, what's happening, and economically what's happening. And then I have to kind of shut it out and not be reading long form Atlantic articles about the long-term impacts of this virus while I'm trying to relax.
Yeah, it's too much. It's too much. Well, we've talked a lot over the years about one of my favorite Joseph Campbell sayings about our calling is to joyfully participate in the sorrows of the world. And, you and I and others who've traveled to Tanzania with us, we've seen that, and we've aspired to be, that sort of practitioner, to do that as we can. And now, of course, we're overwhelmed with that opportunity to joyfully participate in the sorrows of the world. And that can mean something as just listening to a family member that's going through a hard day, or it could mean some days we might even feel the collective sadness, just the collective, the sort of cosmic sadness that we feel. And you've talked about that, just the whole world's sadness. On some days we feel that burden. And I think it's important to just be aware of it and recognize it and talk to our friends and reach out for, encouragement and help when we can.
Absolutely. Well, and for me, I mean, occasionally there are times when I'm trying to cultivate, some calm and grounding, to kind of put that back out into the fear of sounding woo-woo, but, to put that back out into the universe, because I do think there's a collective heaviness. And that's actually something we can each do, is try to cultivate that ourselves, that light and that grace for ourselves and for each other.
And by the way, that's not new. I mean, there are 5 million children who are going to starve to death this year and last year. So this collective sadness is new for us, but it's not new for the majority of the world, who is finding it difficult to get through. But, on a lighter note, I would say you sent me this cartoon a couple of nights ago because I told you I was having trouble sleeping. So I don't know if this is from the New Yorker or whatever, but why don't you read that cartoon?
Sure. It says, "You can't sleep? have you tried meditating, then reading for an hour, then going to the couch, then back to bed, then counting backward from 10 million and taking a sleeping pill?
Is that true or what?
Yeah, I mean, we can both really, other than the sleeping pill part, we can both really relate to this. I think I inherited my poor sleep from you, and this time is not helping that. So I saw that and had to pass that along.
I mean, I love it. I don't take a sleeping pill. We all know those don't really work very well for me. Lunesta and I don't really get along that well, and it doesn't work. I feel terrible the next day. So really, lately, what I've found is melatonin. I mean, I don't know if that works for other people, but I found that that's really, really good. And anyway, so I wanted to share that. Maybe what we could do. Oh, I didn't mean to interrupt. What were you going to say?
Oh, I was, and then count backward from 10 million.
Yeah, exactly. Well, hence my sheep videos. That's why I love to watch those.
Yeah.
But maybe what we could do, I can put my glasses on, and maybe we can take some questions. If we have had any.
Absolutely. I'll look through here, and feel free to send those in even right now.
We've had a lot of comments over the golly, so many people have commented. Oh, that's so cool. And
now someone's asking what my due date is. So I'm due in late summer. I'll say early August.
Yeah.
So who really knows? I think it's 5% of babies are born on their due date. So we'll see.
Close to cousin Michelle's birthday.
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe we don't. I don't think we have. Have you seen any other questions?
I have not yet.
Okay. Well, listen, we'll do this again, and I'm so grateful for people who took time to watch. And I'm not sorry about my emotional.
People are.
Hey, you know what? It's okay, and that's one of the things that you taught me in reading me this book, because I would you'd read, and like every other page, I'd go to the bathroom and cry because I thought, well, I couldn't cry in front of you, which is ridiculous.
Absolutely.
But I mean, I do get emotional sometimes. So yeah, I'm not going to apologize for that. And
no, that's good. That's important.
Okay. Kaylin has said that Ksenia has a question. Oh, Ksenia has a question for you, Lawren.
Oh, great. Lawren, you mentioned grounding practices. What do you do to feel grounded? Oh, thanks for that question. So I think I mentioned I have a daily meditation practice. So in the mornings, I try to start by, when I wake up, list 3 things that I'm grateful for. I don't write it down in a journal or put it anywhere. I'm just, thinking about it literally before my feet hit the floor. And I think a gratitude practice for me, meaning I'm intentional about thinking to myself what those are, or in some cases saying them out loud to my dog, no one in particular, is helpful. And then I've used a few different apps. So Headspace is an app that I love, and Calm for some guided meditations. And I try to start my day with that. A new thing that I've incorporated to help me feel grounded is I've created some affirmations or some mantras, if you will, for birth, for labor and delivery. And I've started incorporating those into my morning practice. And hopefully I'll be able to draw upon those in the moment and feel some strength. But you know what else has been really grounding for me is FaceTiming with friends and talking with friends. I'm an extrovert. This is challenging for me to be home and separated from my friends and family and community. So we've had some, dinner parties with friends where we, FaceTime and eat dinner together. I had a Zoom happy hour with some, girlfriends that are very dear to me yesterday. So lots of trying to just stay connected and listen to what my friends are going through. There's an organization here in Austin. It's Austin-based, but it's really statewide, called Girls Empowerment Network. And I'm lucky to serve on the board of that organization. And they do amazing work supporting young women in really kind of harnessing their power and learning self-efficacy tools. And they've had to adapt a lot. It's been an interesting time for our organization, and I'm so impressed with what they're doing, but they've moved a lot of their content online. I would encourage any of you who are watching to visit girlsempowermentnetwork.org and check out some of the videos that they have. They are geared toward young women, but there's also a lot of stuff there right now for parents and really anyone that's needing some sort of, emotional support right now. There's some great content there. And I've enjoyed, and it's been helpful for me to read through and watch some of that. So.
Well, thank you. Thank you guys, everybody, for being here. And Lawren and I will try to do this again. And we are super grateful, and thanks for everything that you do for us. And please reach out if we can do anything to help you. And
I have one more thing to mention. So we're currently running a giveaway right now where we are asking people to go to our Instagram and nominate a healthcare hero, a doctor, nurse, doula, respiratory therapist, anyone in the healthcare industry. And we're going to randomly select one of those folks that you nominate to send a care package to. It's small. We wish, that we could do more, but it's our own small way of trying to say thank you for the gratitude that we have for our healthcare professionals right now and the sacrifices that they're making to keep us all safe. So that's going through Monday. So please go to our Instagram. We all know, a healthcare worker right now that could use a little chocolate pick-me-up.
Right. Okay. With that, we'll conclude. And thanks everybody for being here. And I hope you have a nice rest of your day. Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay. Bye, Lawren.
Bye, Dad.